Good morning. So today we're going to start reviewing for your final exam. So we're going to take these worksheets and we're going to kind of go through them, just kind of hit the topics, and I'm going to let you work on the problems inside there. So order of operations, remember it's please, excuse, my dear Aunt Sally. So it's how we work algebraic equations, how we work algebraic expressions. So we start with our parentheses, work what's inside the parentheses first, then we move on to the exponents, evaluate the exponents, then we multiply and divide left to right, and we add and subtract left to right. Okay. Alright, let's take this example. So this is multiplication. 2 cubed times what's inside, 9 minus 2, plus 12 divided by 4, minus the absolute value of negative 5. So 2 cubed is going to give me an 8. Work what's in the parentheses, 9 minus 2 gives me a 7. 12 divided by 4 gives me a 3. And then the absolute value of negative 5 is a 5. Okay. Alright, so now we need to simplify. So 8 times 7 is a 56. Then 56 plus a 3 is a 59. 59 minus a 5 would give me a 54. Okay, so that's my order of operations. Okay, when you evaluate an expression at a given okay, so you're going to replace, so put a parentheses around each variable. It means multiplication. Okay, so I've got a w, so I'm going to say negative 2 squared minus 5 times x, which is a negative 3, times a y, which is a 1. So negative 2 squared is a 4. Negative 5 times negative 3 is a positive 15. So 14 plus a 15 is going to be, 14, sorry. 4 plus a 15 is going to leave me with a 19. Okay. Translating algebraic expressions. Okay, so remember what addition means, the sum, added to, subtraction means the difference, product means multiplication, the quotient means division. Okay, so let's look at something here. So the quotient of twice a number and 7 is 20. So what does that mean? So the quotient means division. Okay, the quotient of twice a number says 2 times x and 7 means equal to, is equal to 20. We're not asking to solve that, but translating, just make sure that you know how to translate a word problem. Okay, equations, remember how we solve equations. We combine our like terms on the same sides. We simplify, we combine like terms on opposite sides, and then we divide or multiply, okay, to get the variable by itself. Okay, so if I was to solve 18 is equal to 3 minus 3a, then the first thing I would do is I would subtract 3 on both sides, so I would get 15 is equal to a negative 3a, and then here I would divide both sides by negative 3, so negative 5 is going to be equal to an a. So a is going to be equal to a negative 5. Okay. So if I was to solve this problem, same thing, I'm going to subtract 17 first. Remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So you're going to have a 3/4 x is going to be equal to 23 minus 17, which is an 8. It's not right. It would be a 6. Oh, it's the end of the semester. Okay. And then what we're going to do here is that we're going to multiply by 4 over 3. So here x is going to be equal to, 3 goes into 6 2 times, so 2 times 4 gives you a 8. Okay. Alright, let's do another one. So if I wanted to solve here, okay, so we need to simplify each side of the expression. So negative 6 times x is a negative 6x. Negative 6 times a negative 4 is a positive 24. And bring down your 8x. Distribute your 2, so 2 times x is a 2x, and 2 times 9 is an 18. Combine your like terms, so negative 6x plus an 8x is a 2x. Now we're going to combine like terms on opposite sides of the equal sign. So we're going to move our variables together. Well, what happens there? That's going to go away, so I'm going to be left with 24 is equal to 18. Is that a true statement? That's not a true statement, so this is going to be no solution. Okay. Alright, if we had a proportion, remember we multiply the numerators and the denominators, so basically we cross multiply over that equal sign. So we're going to say 7 times x is going to be equal to 3 times x minus 8. So we'll have a 7x is equal to 3 times x, which is a 3x, and 3 times negative 8, which is a negative 24. Add your, subtract your 3x. So you're going to get a 4x is equal to a negative 24, and then you're going to divide both sides by 4. So x here is going to be equal to a negative 6. Okay. Alrighty. So if you wanted to solve for a different variable, we're still going to do the same operations. We want to isolate. Here we're going to solve for m. So this is multiplication inside of here. So the first thing that I want to do is multiply both sides by 2. So I'm going to get a 2k is equal to m times v squared. Okay, I want to get the m by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by v squared. So you're going to be left with 2k is over v squared is equal to m, or m is going to be equal to 2k over v squared. Okay, next thing that we're going to talk about is inequalities. Okay, so remember, inequalities are the same thing as solving an equation, except for when you divide. Remember, when you divide by a negative value, what's going to happen? When we divide by a negative value, it's going to change that inequality sign. Okay, and remember, inequalities, we have a solution of value, so the solution here would be between negative infinity all the way up to 4. Parentheses around both. Remember, if you have a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you'll have a bracket around the number. And if you have a less than or greater than, you'll just always have parentheses. Remember, infinity, always, no matter what, negative or positive, is always going to have a parentheses. Okay? Alright, so let's solve some. Okay, so if I was going to solve this, same thing. I need to simplify that left-hand side, so negative 7 times x is a negative 7x. Negative 7 times 3 is going to give me a negative 21 is greater than a negative 13. 3x minus 7x is a 4x. Add your 21 on both sides. So we're going to get a 4x is greater than or equal to a negative 13 plus a 21, which is an 8. Divide both sides by 4. So x is going to be greater than or equal to a 2. Oops, that's going to be a negative 4, I'm sorry. So when you divide that negative, everything's going to flip. Okay, so on the number line at negative 2, you will have a closed circle, and it's everything less than negative 2, so it's everything to the negative infinity direction. So it's going to be in between negative infinity to negative 2. Bracket around the negative 2, parentheses around the negative 8. Okay. So compound inequalities. Remember, when you have an or, that means that either or of our intervals are going to be true. Okay, so we need to solve each one of the linear inequalities here. So we'll have x is going to be less than negative 5, or over here we're going to subtract a 5. X is going to be greater than or equal to a negative 2. So it's either or. So at negative 5, we're going to be less than negative 5. And we're going to be greater than or equal to a negative 2. So at negative 2, we're going to have a closed circle. At negative 5, we're going to have a closed circle. It's everything to the left of negative 5, and it's everything to the right of negative 2. So my intervals here will be between negative infinity to negative 5, the bracket, and negative 2 to infinity. Okay. Compound inequalities, where you need to get that when it's an and. Okay. So compound inequality when it's an and means that you want to get the x by itself in the middle. So we're going to get the x by itself in the middle. So we'll have 0 is equal to 3x, which is less than or equal to 12. Sorry, I added that little equal to sign. Okay, now same thing, we're going to get the x by itself, so we're going to divide everything by 4. So we're still going to have that 0 over there. X is going to be by itself in the middle. I'm telling you. Losing my mind here. If I that's by 3, I apologize. It's almost the end of the school year. See if I can get it right. Okay, there we go. Alright, so that means that x is going to lie in between 0 and 4. Close circle at 0, open circle at 4, and it's going to be everything in between there. So that means we're going to have in between 0 and 4. Okay? Word problems are the other thing that we did. So, basically you just need to read through the word problems and see what it's asking for. Let's look at this one. Amy published her first book. She was given $20,000 and an additional 15 cents for each copy of the book that sold. Her earnings, D in dollars, from the publication of the book are given by the function D equals 20,000 plus 0.15 N, where N is the number of copies sold. During the first year, Amy earned $22,100 from the publication and sale of her book. How many copies of the book were sold? So what we're looking for is how many copies. So we're looking for N. Okay. We know D. We know how much she made. So we can say 22,100 is going to be equal to 20,000 plus 0.15 N. So we use some algebra to solve this. So we're going to subtract 20. I will be left with 2,100. Divide both sides by 0.15. So when you divide 2,100 by 0.15, that means that we sold 14,000 copies. So 14,000 copies were sold. Okay. All right, so that's the first part of our review. Hope you have a great day.